Streetcars might be coming to Main Street near you. We'll have more on that right now with Caroline Porter, and she joins us now from Chicago. Thanks very much. There she is in Chicago. A streetcar.
That's correct.
Okay, so streetcars, these giant things with big metal wheels and electrically powered, and we're looking at pictures of them now. Why are cities wanting to do this when they spent such a lot of time ripping up the tracks and getting rid of them years ago?
Well, there's a couple different reasons for that. The primary one is that they see streetcars as an economic growth tool because they have specific stops when, versus like a rapid transit system for a bus. When you use a streetcar and you put in those stops, it's more likely that businesses will want to develop in those areas. So they see it as a tool of investment for businesses. And then the other reason is that it's smaller. It's not as big of a deal as putting in a light rail or a heavy rail system. It's something that you can do in bite-sized chunks. So at a time when cities are strapped for cash, it's a good option for something to do that means they're still moving forward, but they don't have to invest nearly quite as much as some of the larger transit systems might.
We've been looking at the pictures of them here, and they certainly look very, very swanky, and certainly not like the what they call in the UK trams, which always looked a little sort of iffy to me when they were there, or certainly the antique ones. Now, I've seen these things in some countries hit cars, right? And there's 200 tons hitting a 2-ton car. The car always loses. Is that a worry to anybody, or is that not really being talked about?
That's not something that I've heard being talked about. I imagine that it might be a concern, but I've also heard that they are more pedestrian-friendly than other options, so I've heard otherwise.
Okay, so would this be coming to New York, or do you think? I mean, these are sort of other cities, medium-sized cities, right? Atlanta's one of them you mentioned. Where else?
Cincinnati, Kansas City, Minneapolis. They've been successful in Portland and Seattle. Kind of sprinkled all over, but you're right, mid-sized cities. Although LA is also looking to build one. So.
LA, the city of the car, looking that's very interesting to me. So would these be for people just nipping around the town center or downtown areas, or would they be for commuters too?
They're intended to be both, though I've definitely heard more about tourists, them attracting tourists, than I have per se commuters. It's definitely not something that you would take from the suburbs into the city. It's meant to be more of like a 2-mile to a 4-mile jaunt, when you want to go get a cup of coffee or when you want to go take a walk, that kind of thing. How much
of a factor is the environmental side of this?
I've heard it mentioned, but I do not think it's a primary factor. I think the biggest thing really is the economic incentive, the idea that it's going to help grow the economy. A lot of the federal stimulus dollars that are going into these projects came from the Recovery Act, when the emphasis was definitely on stimulating business.
Now, these are powered by electricity, aren't they? So if there's a power outage, these things all stop.
Yes, I would believe that to be true, though. Fortunately, I've not been in a situation, so I can't tell you for sure. Okay, great stuff. Very interesting story. More on that in tomorrow's paper. Caroline Porter of the Wall Street Journal in Chicago, and that sounds like a fascinating story.